Guys, are you there? Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. There was a slight problem there. So seems to be rectified now. Yeah. So we will start off with one query that was put yesterday by one of your colleagues, that he was not able to understand the input characteristics for common collector. Okay. So these are, let me just share the screen. Okay. So these characteristics look a little bit odd. Okay. And that is the reason. It's a very good question that people are not taking it directly without understanding. It's a good thing. Okay. So let us spend a few minutes here uh, to understand why exactly this is happening. First of all, remember that yes, look at this. Look at this. So you have this as VCE or VEC. Okay, this voltage. This is VBE, and this is your. Let me erase some of it so that we start with different color. Okay. So this is VBE. This is VBC. Okay. So if you look here carefully, you get the equation VEC. It is nothing but VBE plus VBC. Do you understand this? Voltage across this and collector and emitter, actually it's actually divided into VBE and VBC. Now when I'm having VEC constant, if I make VEC constant. So if I keep VEC constant, now I have, or let us say VBE now is equal to VEC minus VBC. Okay, so if VEC is constant and I increase VBC, look what is happening. If I increase VBC, what will happen to IB? Remember, VEC is constant, VBC I am increasing. So what will happen to VBE?
Decrease. It will decrease.
Very good. If VBE decreases, what will happen to IB? Remember, it is the VBE and IB. Rather, VBE is creating IB. So naturally, if VBE decreases, IB also decreases. And that is exactly seen over here. As VBC increases from this point, let us say, earlier it was this point, and then it increased on this side, and that is the reason why my base current also decreased. So that is the reason why I get a slope like this. Remember, this is a curve of IB versus VBC. It is not at all like a diode curve, just like what we had in case of IB versus VBE in the previous configuration of common emitter. Neither it had anything to do with to VB versus VBE, which was basically this is the common emitter configuration, this is the common base configuration. So here things are different. And why it is different? Because of this relationship. So as I increase VBC, my base current IB decreases. Okay. For a different set of VBC, if I increase this still further, as it is, the voltage, the current is, the base current is was this again here, and it again decreases as I go on increasing VBC. Okay. So remember this carefully. Okay. So that is how we can explain the common collector input characteristics. They are totally different as compared to common collector and common emitter and common base. Is this clear to all of you now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is where we left off yesterday. I'll switch back to a different application. Today, if time permits, we will again go for simulation, the remaining part, whatever we have done yesterday. Okay. Now we are on the verge of starting with the very first unit, and that is the transistor biasing. By now, you must have understood one thing from diode characteristics also, that to use the diode, what I had to do was, first of all, these are the diode characteristics. So this is your VD and this is your ID. These were the diode characteristics. So I had to first of all this was our Q point. This is the DC condition. And later on, I said that we are having dynamic characteristics also for the diode. It made that, if you remember that, there was a tangent here, and then I superimposed a voltage over here, and then a voltage at this point, and then it was, I was getting some output like this. Okay. So initially I have to bias the diode. Okay, and that biasing in case of diode, silicon diode, is 0.7 volts. So biasing actually means a Q point. What are the coordinates of Q point? They are your ID and VD. So before using the diode for this kind of application, I had to first of all set up this point, or set up a particular value of diode voltage and diode current. In a similar way, this was actually the diode biasing. In a similar way, we have transistor biasing. And also we said that there was a load line. If you remember the load line, there was a load line corresponding to the diode. Similarly, we have a load line, a DC load line, okay, which is similar to diode, and it can be drawn on the transistor output characteristics. Okay, the DC bias point, that is what we have already said, the DC bias point or the Q point also exists, and which is on the load line. In fact, it is the intersection of the curve or the characteristic and this load line. Okay. So at a given point, I can say that for a transistor, we are going to see the transistor characteristics in more details. And this Q point is very important. If you remember again, why I'm stressing this again and again, because if you understand the concept of Q point and DC load line, things are going to be very easy for you. Okay. If you remember, in one of the examples which I had spoken about for how the transistor works as amplifier, the output was looking something like this. Now this is the time domain. Okay, and this was the output voltage VCE. Okay, so what was the starting point where there was no input signal at all? Just go back and refer to your notes. We had a starting point, like, you know, what was the value? If you remember, the value was 8 volts. Okay, and then I applied the signal, and then we had this kind of, character output, and then this was 11 volts, and this was, I guess, 5 volts, correct? So this is the point. This is the voltage which was existing when there was no signal, or this directly or simply corresponds to the Q point. So whatever was the voltage across VCE and whatever was the collector current flowing at that time, that constituted the Q point. So this is IC and that was VCE. Okay, here in this case, I think the Q point was what, 1 milliampere and 8 volts. This was the Q point. And then we further went on, and what will happen if the signal changes. Okay, so in a similar way, I mean, it's exactly the same thing. Now remember, this Q point stability is very important. Now, what do you mean by stability? It means that my reference point, my starting point should always remain whatever as I have desired or whatever I have designed it for. If this changes, there are going to be a lot of complications. What are the complications that may happen? A very simple example I can give you here itself. Now, because of some reasons, this Q point shifts down. Let us say it comes down here. Okay, let us say this comes down to, let us say 6 volts. Okay, now what is going to happen if I apply the signal? For positive half cycle, it won't be a problem. But negative half cycle, look what is happening. This is what is going to happen. What is happening? Here what is happening? The signal cannot go below negative voltage. There are no negative voltages in the circuit. So this cannot go below 0. Technically speaking, this cannot go below VCE sat, because that is where the transistor is going into saturation. And it is no longer in the linear region of the characteristics. So the lower part, this part is going to get clipped off. It is going to be simply cut off. And this is a very bad picture, because amplification is supposed to have a faithful reproduction of the input with amplified amplitude or with increased amplitude. Okay, but here in this case, the output is not faithful reproduction of the input, and this gives rise to what is called as the distortion. Okay, this is what is called as distortion. Now, in a similar way, if my Q point shifts up, in that case, let us see what happens. A similar kind of scenario will be there. So, let us say it shifts up. Let us say it goes to 8 volts. Now what is going to happen? You'll see that it cannot go beyond a certain value, which is the maximum value, your VCC. Okay, so this is the upper limit. So my signal goes like this, gets cut off here, clipped off again, and here there is no problem. So again, I am getting a distortion. Okay, but I want that there should be no distortion in my output. And so the Q point has to be rock solid. What are the reasons due to which the Q point may change? The Q point may change because of two important things. So Q point may change. See, who is going to set the Q point? Who sets the Q point? Okay, who sets the Q point? The designer. In that case, that is you. Okay, so you are adjusting the Q point, but the unfortunate changes we have seen. Parameter. Remember that all the transistors which are, let us say, a typical small signal transistor is VC147 or 547. Okay, and the manufacturer says that he cannot guarantee, mark my words, he cannot guarantee that it's beta. Okay, also called as HFE, Later on, we'll see what this HFE is. But for the time being, we'll consider this as beta, which is nothing but the collector current to base current ratio. This is in a range of, let us say, 100 to 400. We cannot guarantee this to be exactly 100 for every device which is marked as BC547. So device to device variations are there. And this is the device parameter change, beta, which affects the Q point. So you may design one particular circuit, biasing circuit, for example, such that you are setting the Q point. Okay, and assuming that the beta was 100. But if you are manufacturing 100 such circuits, if you are fabricating 100 such circuits, you cannot guarantee that beta of all the transistor is going to be exactly 100, because the manufacturer himself says that there will be a variation of so much. Okay, so the moment you use a different device in the sense a different, same BC547 only, but a different unit, it is called as a unit. So there will be 100 such units in the bag. Okay, if you change the unit, your Q point is likely to change because the beta is going to change. We are going to see why this happens. Okay, so that is the reason you have to understand exactly what is a Q point and why Q point may change, and what are the disastrous effect of change in the Q point. Have you understood this, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let us go and study this in a little bit more details. All right. So let's start with the new section. So the DC load line and the bias point. This is what we are going to see. Let me construct a circuit for that. We'll see why I'm doing this. This will call RB. So naturally I'll be having a base current IB. This is your VCC, which is, let us say, 20 volts. This is RC, which is, let us say, 10 kiloohms. Okay, and in fact this happens to be your VB, this voltage with respect to ground. So now I'll start using the symbol for ground. Again, remember, it is to be positive. What is a, now this is a classical case of a common emitter circuit. Okay. Now what is going to be the output in case of common emitter circuit? It is going to be VCE. Remember, this also is IC. So in this circuit, which I want to use as amplifier, input terminals are the base and the emitter. So this is where I will apply the input. Input is not explicitly shown right now. Now polarities of this VBE are such that this junction VBE is forward biased. We already know that if I want to use this as a transistor, I have to make sure that this junction is forward biased and the collector base junction is reverse biased. Now to plot the load line, we have to consider the output characteristics and then we have to apply this equation. Okay, how do I apply the equation on the output side? We have already done this. So VCE is equal to VCC minus IC into RC. Okay, this equation we have already used. ठीक है ना? Is all right with you? This equation, do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have already used this equation. Now I have to superimpose this. I have to construct a load line. I have to construct a load line on the output characteristics. So I'll have to draw the output characteristics first of all. Okay, drawing output characteristics, just give me some time for that. In fact, I have a figure. Let me see if I can superimpose this. Just give me a moment. Think yes, I have able to superimpose that output characteristics. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So for this particular, we are going to construct a load line. For this particular output characteristics, on these output characteristics, we are going to have the load line. Now, if the base bias voltage VB is such that the transistor is not conducting okay, then I have IC equal to 0. Okay. Now, if the base bias voltage VB is such that BJT is not conducting at all, in that case, in fact, it is going to be this IB equal to 0 condition. Are you getting it? And for that, I will have IC equal to 0. We are neglecting that very small ICEO in this case. So VCE is equal to VCC minus IC into RC. Can we work this out? This was 20 volts minus IC is 0 milliamperes and RC was 10 kilo ohms. So this turns out to be how much? 20 volts. So VCE is 20, IC is 0. So this gives me 1 point. I'm telling you how to construct the load line. So remember, this is a straight line. It is a line. And so it is sufficient for us to have 2 points. Once we get 2 points, we can draw the load line. Okay. So my first point, point A, I'll call as point A, is 0 milliamperes and 20 volts. Remember, this is IC and VCE. So now I can mark this over here somewhere. Okay. Okay. Just don't consider these values for the time being. Let us say this is, the scale is a little bit different. I was not in a position to change this. So let us say this is 20. Okay. So where is my point now? My first point. My first point is here. All right. Now suppose we are interested in finding out the second point. So suppose VB increases until IC is made 2 milliamperes. This is just hypothetical. Can I plot? Can I find out what is VC now here? It is again 20 volts minus 2 milliamperes into 10 kilo ohms. What is that? What is this value? What is the value of VC? Yes?
0.
VC, it is 0 volts. So I am having another point B. Now here it will be 2 milliamperes and 0 volts. So I have another point which I can mark. Okay, somewhere here. So this is point B. All right. The scale is a little bit distorted, but we'll have to do away with that. Okay. So this will be 2 milliamperes. Now I have got 2 points. What I can do is I can draw a straight line joining these 2 points. And this happens to be my load line. Of course, this is the DC load line. Are you getting this one?
Yes,
So I have
sir.
given you a way, I have shown you a way in which to construct the load line. Okay. I've given you a way of how to construct the load line. Is this clear to all of you, or should I repeat this part? How to construct the load line? Yes? Guys? Guys, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So have you understood how to construct the load line?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Very good. Any doubts, any questions here? Now remember,
Yes, sir.
remember one thing very, very clearly, that these endpoints of the load line are hypothetical points. Means what? Means what? In real life, these points will never occur. Why? Why will it never occur? Let us think about it. Why will these 2 points never occur? This is just a way of finding out the load line, but they will never occur in reality. Why? The reason for that is the voltage across the transistor the VCE will never be 0. It will be always stuck to VCE sat. So VCE equal to 0 will never happen. Similarly, IC will never be equal to 0. But will be ICEO. And that is the reason why these regions, in fact, they don't occur practically. And these 2 points are hypothetical points. This is just a method of drawing the load line. Of course, using this load line, I can now predict what will be I can now predict what will be the voltage across the collector and emitter, and what will be the collector current given some value of IB. For example, here in this case, if my IB, if I set IB base current to 20 microamperes, I can immediately find out what will be the voltage across, this point, what will be the voltage across the collector and emitter, and what will be the collector current. That is the importance of load line. So by simply looking now here, if I shift, if I decrease the base current to 10 microamperes, I can find out what is the voltage across the device and what is the current flowing through the device. If I make IB 30 microamperes, the intersection point will give me the voltage across the device and the current flowing through the device. Is that clear? That is the importance of load line. So why do we draw load line? Why do we construct the load line? So that we can predict, we can find out graphically at a particular value of base current, what is going to be the voltage across collector and emitter, and what is going to be the collector current. Again, why this is important? Because if you remember, IB in this case is the input current, IC is the output current, and VCE is the output voltage. So given base voltage, the base current, I can find out the output voltage also using the load line concept. Okay? This load line depends entirely upon completely upon this RC. If you see clearly, so this RC is it is actually deciding the slope of the load line. So if I make RC different, the load line is going to be different. Please remember that. So for a different value of RC, I can have a different load line. But what happens is, we normally, when we design, we keep the RC, once it is designed, once it is set, it is going to be a constant value. Okay, but what will happen if RC changes? Let us see that effect. So if I make RC a little bit different, in fact, I am expecting a different slope like this. So this will be for different value of RC. This red load line is going to be different. So correspondingly, we have the slope of the load line is dictated by the collector resistor. Now, if you have understood this, things are going to be very, very easy. Guys? Yes? Are there any doubts here?
No, sir.
No.
It is clear, no? So now, once we have a background of the concept of load line, now we will start with the actual biasing circuit. So biasing means what? Tell me, what do you mean by biasing? Biasing means to set the Q point. The act of biasing is nothing but set the Q point. Now, what are the different biasing circuits that we are going to see? there are 3 different ways, in fact 4. And the very first one, A, I'll call, is called as the fixed current bias. In fact, this is exactly what we have seen while discussing the construction of the load line. So I'll redraw this. This is your base current. This is RC. This is RB. This is going to be your VBE. And here I am applying VCC. Okay. By the way, this happens to be VCC minus VBE. And of course, my output is VCE. This is your electric current IC. So this is the very first type of bias called as the fixed current bias. Okay. Now here, the base current IB is fixed. Remember, what is our goal? Why are we doing this? What is our goal? Never forget the big picture. Our goal is to set the Q point. Simply means some value of IC and some value of VCE. Our goal is to set the Q point, and that is the reason why we are doing this circus. Okay. So here in this case, the base current IB is fixed by the bias voltage VCC itself. You will see that this voltage is going to be fixed. Voltage across RB is always going to be fixed. Okay. So I can write. So using Ohm's law, can I find out what is IB in terms of RB and the voltage across RB? First of all, have you understood why this is VCC minus VBE? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So can I write equation for IB in terms of RB and this voltage across RB using Ohm's law? That is quite possible. So IB happens to be voltage across RB. What is voltage across RB? VCC minus VBE
VCC minus VBE
divided by, yes?
RB.
Excellent. Now, since VCC, VBE and RB are constants. Agreed? So I can say that IB also remains constant. Please remember, our goal is to set Q point ICVC, and at the same time there is one more additional thing, that this should not change. ICVC should not change. Of course, if I apply signal, then it doesn't remain a Q point at all. Alright. So my goal is, in DC conditions, when there is no signal, This Q point should not shift. And so IB remains constant. Now, if IB remains constant, what is IC? It is beta times IB. So can I say that if IB is constant, IC will also remain constant? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if IC remains constant, so IC remains constant. If IC remains constant, I have the equation at the output side. We already know that equation VCE is equal to VCC minus IC.
Hello.
Guys,
Yes, sir.
are you there? Yeah, there was a power failure, so we'll continue. Are you able to see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as I said, since IC remains constant, and you can see here VCC is constant, IC is constant, RC is constant. So what can you say about VCE? It will also remain constant. So it is, let us say that your IC and VCE will not change, and so I have achieved the Q point over here. Of course, there is a big caveat over here, and that is I am assuming that beta is constant for different devices, but as devices change, beta is going to change. So we'll soon see that even though this happens to be a very simple way of biasing, it is having this particular problem. Okay, and that is the reason. Of course, we'll see that later on. But let us now quickly see how to design this circuit. So have you understood whatever we have talked about? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So design a fixed current bias using silicon transistor having beta as 100, VCC is given as 15 volts, and the expected Q point is 5 volts and 5 milliamperes. Oh, it should be the other way around, right? Five milliamperes and 5 volts. No, it was actually correct. This is the x-axis, no? So 5 volts and 5 milliamperes. All right. Now let us solve this. Let us first of all, step 1 is select, or let us say compute the value of RC. We now know VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC. Okay, of course RC has also to be given, so RC is to be found out, so we are using this equation. So from this equation, can I find out value of RC? VCE is known to you, VCC is known to you, IC is known to you. So I can find out this as VCC minus VCE divided by IC. This turns out to be 15 volts minus 5 volts divided by 5 milliamperes. So find out what is it. What is this value? What is this value? Come on, guys.
2 kilo.
It is 2 kilos. Now I have seen students commit the mistake of this, they don't convert this milliampere. They don't convert this milliampere at all. In the exams also I have seen. So please be careful about your calculations about milli, micro and all those things. Okay. Second, so you have the very first value, 2 kilo ohms. Then we'll find out compute. Now design means what? You have already seen. Designing means what? We have to simply find out the value of RB and RC, and that is it. That is the design. So that is it. Compute RB. How do you do that? Now we know IB, which is equal to IC by beta. So I can find out IB as 5 milliamperes. Beta is given as 100. So this turns out to be how much? Find out. Come on, quick. Yes? What is the value? Guys?
So 0.05 milliamperes.
So in microamperes, how much is it? Verify. It is 50 microamperes.
50 so 50 microamperes.
Okay. Now I can use this equation IB VCC minus VBE divided by RB, or conversely I can write RB as VCC minus VBE divided by IB. That turns out to be 15 volts minus VBE. Since it is given, the hint is given here, it is a silicon transistor, so VBE is how much? 0.7 volts. So 0.7 volts divided by 50 microamperes. Work this out. Work this out. Come on, calculate. Guys. What is the value? Come on. It should be in kilo ohms. What is the value? Come on.
286.
Yes, it is
So 286 kilo ohms.
kilo ohms. So you have found out the resistor value for base, and that completes the design. So simple. Just 2 steps, and you have designed your first circuit for BJT. Easy, no? Just 2 equations that you have to remember. One is this equation, which is always going to be with you, and this equation. We have already used this equation. Both of them we have already used earlier. So that is it. So today what we have done is, we have, let us summarize. We have seen, we started off with the Q point, the concept of Q point. I discussed how to draw the load line, the DC load line that is, and the very first, we have also said that the Q point stability is important. Otherwise, there will be distortion in the signal, output of the signal, output basically. And we have also seen the very first type of current biasing circuit, and that is a fixed current bias. And we have also designed one circuit for that. All right. So we have already, it is 11 o'clock now. I'll be signing off. Are there any doubts, any questions?
No, sir.
I hope there aren't any. Tomorrow we will, next time we will start with the analysis of this. I'll tell you in more details about what exactly, how the analysis is done. All right. Yes, fine then. Okay.
Okay, thank you,
all.
sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.